Mandy's earliest memories were filled with a strange, persistent emptiness. In the small town where she grew up, the children would often boast about the toys their fathers bought them, the games they played together, and the adventures they shared. She would watch enviously as the other boys and girls clung to their fathers, seeing the love and protection in their eyes. Mandy, however, had no father to cling to, no grandfather to run to, and no close male relative to turn to. It was just her and her mother, Tasha, alone in a world that seemed to thrive on the bonds she lacked. This absence became a silent trauma for Mandy, a sore in her heart that deepened as she grew. At night, she would lie awake, listening to the sounds of the house, wondering why her father had abandoned her. What had she done to deserve this void? These thoughts haunted her childhood, casting a shadow over her happiest moments. As a teenager, Mandy's curiosity about her father grew into a burning need to know. Every question she posed to her mother about him was met with resistance. Tasha's demeanor would change, her eyes would cloud, and she would curtly respond that he had left and wanted nothing to do with them. "We're okay without him," Tasha would say, forcing a smile. But Mandy could see the pain behind her mother's eyes, the same pain she felt in her own heart. Despite her mother's reluctance, Mandy couldn't let go of her quest for answers. The mystery of her father's identity gnawed at her, and she often found herself daydreaming about what he might be like. Was he kind? Did he think about her? Did he ever regret leaving them? These questions were her constant companions. One fateful day, when Mandy was 18, her mother finally relented. With a sigh and a heavy heart, Tasha revealed the truth. Mandy's father was a man named Jacob. He lived in a nearby city, had a family of his own, 2 daughters, a son, and a wife. He was financially stable, running several successful businesses that generated millions of rands each year. Tasha handed Mandy a piece of paper with a phone number on it. "He knows about you," she said softly. "He was happy to hear from me. He said you can call him." Mandy's heart raced as she dialed the number. The phone rang and rang until, finally, a man's voice answered. "Hello?" She introduced herself, and after a brief pause, she heard him say, "Hi, Mandy." Her heart soared. He remembered her. They exchanged numbers, and Mandy felt a sense of relief and excitement. She had found him, the missing piece of her life. Months passed, but her father did not call. Mandy waited, hoping each day that he would reach out. Eventually, she decided to call him again. He answered with a casual "Hi, Mandy," and she realized with a sinking heart that he hadn't misplaced her number, he just hadn't bothered to call. She stopped calling, waiting to see if he would take the initiative. He never did. Feeling rejected and hurt, Mandy decided to forget about him. It was evident that he was content with his own family and had no place for her in his life. "He simply called me a Mandy," she thought bitterly, "and never called me his daughter." Determined to move on, Mandy focused on her studies and threw herself into rugby, a sport she had grown to love. She excelled, earning a scholarship and eventually qualifying for the national rugby team. Her dedication paid off, and she began to make a name for herself, earning good money as a female rugby player. Meanwhile, Jacob's life took a downturn. His businesses failed, his wife left him for a wealthier man, and his children were taken to live with their rich grandmother. He was left alone, broke, and broken. Mandy, hearing of his plight, found him and extended a helping hand. Despite the pain he had caused her, she lent him money to restart his business and gave him the care and support a daughter should provide. With Mandy's help, Jacob managed to rebuild his business. But once he was back on his feet, he forgot about her once again. He found a new love, started another family, and denied ever receiving any help from Mandy. The betrayal cut deep. It was then that Mandy understood a painful truth: some people will never love you. No matter how much you try to love them. Heartbroken, Mandy decided to leave Jacob to his own devices. She realized that she could not force a relationship where there was no willingness from the other side. It was a harsh lesson, but she knew she had to protect her own heart. She had given all she could, and now it was time to let go. Mandy continued to excel in rugby, finding solace in the sport and the camaraderie of her teammates. She built a life for herself, one filled with purpose and passion. The void left by her father's absence never fully healed, but she learned to live with it, using the pain as fuel to drive her forward. Years later, Mandy looked back on her journey with a sense of pride. She had overcome immense obstacles, faced rejection and betrayal, but had emerged stronger. Her father's neglect had shaped her, but it did not define her. She had found her own path, one that led to a fulfilling life, rich with accomplishments and self-worth. Mandy's story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the pain of her past, she forged ahead, creating a life that was hers alone. She learned that love cannot be forced and that sometimes letting go is the only way to find peace.